Now, Nebraska fans, you have suffered even feels like a kind word. I mean, y'all have been through it, man. Y'all been through the ringer the last couple of years. From the Scott Frost era to the beginning of the Matt Rule campaign to Scott Frost then saying at Media Days a couple of weeks ago at a Big 12 Media Days he took the wrong job. The guy who was a quarterback in Nebraska. I digress. What we're going to be saying after the 2025 season about Nebraska is, hey, Nebraska fans, you were never crazy. You were never crazy for doing the roster math and doing the, we were so close the last couple of seasons conversations and saying that should and eventually will equate to success on the football field. When I'm talking about success, I'm not talking about, we made a bowl game, won a bowl game, cool, great. I'm talking about like Nebraska legitimately flirting with a college football playoff berth. Now, hand up, I don't have Nebraska making the college football playoff this year, but hear me clearly. What Nebraska is going to be this year will dispel the feelings of we're so close, we're right there, why can't we get it? We should get it because we're so close. Because after a while, when you lose so many one-score games like you did during the Scott Frost era, like you did during year one of the Matt Rule campaign, when you lose so many one-score games and you become so close so often, you start to just kind of settle with the idea of maybe that's all we are. Like maybe we are so close to you. Maybe that's our identity. The difference this year for me with Nebraska relative to previous years is you actually have the talent at quarterback, I think, relative to the rest of your schedule. Like I look up and down Nebraska's schedule, I see a decisive quarterback advantage in 9 of your 12 games. You can make a case even for the USC game if you wanted to. I think some of y'all probably would make a push. I think you could make a conversation about the Michigan game if you wanted to. Like there's a real discussion for Nebraska having a quarterback advantage in probably all but one game outside of the Penn State game with Drew Aller because he's the most proven thing in that conference at quarterback. That's a big deal, man. I couldn't tell you the last time that was the case at Nebraska. The guy who touches the football every single play for your offense, and he's going to be better than their guy. You got a quarterback, you got a chance. You got a quarterback better than their guy, you have a definitive advantage, in my humble opinion. And it's not just having the quarterback in Dylan Raiola. It's the fact that he's going into year 2, and you have the proper things to support him, right? For the first time in a minute, because you've had talented guys before, but to have a talented quarterback with a head coach in year 3 in Matt Rule, who, I mean, let's be real here. Death taxes, Matt Rule, year 3 doing big things. That's kind of how this sport has worked since he's been a head coach in college football. A true offensive coordinator who is a quarterback elevator. Last year, when Dylan Raiola was playing quarterback for Dana Holgorsen running the show, in an offense that wasn't even really Dana Holgorsen's verbiage or system or all that, completed 72% of his passes. Clayton Tune, over at Houston, was a 3-star prospect. Dana Holgorsen had him top 25 nationally as a passer. 3 straight years at Houston. I'm not saying Clayton Tune wasn't good in his own right, but the raw ingredients that Dylan Raiola has are very, very different than what Clayton Tune has. So if Dana Holgorsen can do that with Clayton Tune at Houston, what's he going to do with Dylan Raiola at Nebraska in another year starting at the Big Ten level, in a system where you beefed up that offense, quite frankly, a good bit via the portal? Got him some help on the offensive line. Rocco Spindler, Elijah Pritchett, Dane Keefe from Kentucky. Like they have done a lot around Dylan Raiola to make it to where at Nebraska offensively this year, it should be about Dylan Raiola. Like you're not having to solve for all these other deficiencies and then say, Raiola, can you make up for that? I think this year you're saying, Raiola, we built a lot around you. Now you go make the difference. Because that's why he committed to Nebraska, right? Like he put out the poem, and I know the poem's got some mixed reviews. The poem will age a lot better if Nebraska goes and makes the playoff this year, competes for a Big Ten title this year eventually while he's there. I digress. The point being, Dylan Raiola came to Nebraska to be the difference. Not to be the equalizer, not to get them back to winning 6-7 games, to be the true difference, to get them to compete at the highest level in the Big Ten. And I think the path itself also needs to be mentioned. I look at the schedule, no Ohio State, no Oregon, 4 true road games. It's teed up here for Nebraska. It truly is. And so what I just said at the top, I think Nebraska flirts with a playoff bid. I don't think they get in this year. I think they win 9 games. But even just flirting with the playoff would be validation for Nebraska fans. Or I think it should be at least. Because you've said for the longest time, we should compete for this year. We should be in that discussion this year. We should be in the mix this year. I don't think anyone in Nebraska is saying playoff or bust this year. I think they just want to see what they have on this roster and the things that they did a year ago, the so close, translate to now we're on the right side of so close. Now we have our roster talent, our talented quarterback, get us to where we should be in this conference, in the world of the Big Ten. And what that means for me is you then turn the page on what Nebraska football is in 2026. Okay, because 2025, I just said you win 9 games, great. Guess what we're not talking about then? We're not talking about this team's got a storied tradition, a storied history. Man, this team, the bowl drought, they made a bowl game last year. Can they get past the bowl? We're not saying that anymore. We're saying, can Nebraska push and be a playoff team? Can Nebraska be a team that goes and wins the Big Ten? That's the new discussion for Nebraska. So the way it would reset the conversation and validate Nebraska fans, I think that's going to happen this year. I think Raiola will be a massive part of it. And I think what Matt Rule and this entire organization in Lincoln has done to position themselves to do that, more power to them, kudos to them, and they'll reap the rewards of all that they've done behind closed doors for the last 2 years this upcoming season. Matt Rule wasn't around for so close. He was for 2 years, I suppose, but he wasn't around for the so close snake-bitten years of Scott Frost. What's done in the dark in Lincoln will come to light in 2025. I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be a good time out there for that fan base that is rabid as all get out.